Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. Doing a special edition. We're being joined by the one and only J. Wyndal Gordon. Attorney, good afternoon. How are you?
Well, good afternoon, Mr. Donnie Glover.
This is a special edition. We pray your family. We wish you happy tidings. We won't dare say anything disrespectful to the indigenous peoples.
Right. It's a day for giving thanks, first and foremost, to God, our Savior. Secondly, we want to give thanks to that jury for that verdict that came out this afternoon. Surprise to no one. However, we needed it at this point in time. We needed to hear it because we all saw it. There was no gloss that you could place over it. And the jury did their job. There was only one true verdict, and that was a verdict of guilty to the charges that they were facing. So I'm pleased today because the jury did the right thing. I am still mourning the death of Ahmaud Arbery, especially after the trial when we got to hear the gruesome details of how it all occurred. So it's a bittersweet moment for me, who can actually feel some of the tumult and the trauma that this family must be going through, just from my own sense of compassion for people.
Were you able to see any of the trial?
I saw portions of it here and there, but I've been reading the reports in the news and gathering information that way.
One of the things that was brought up was how the defense talked about Ahmaud Arbery's dead body. It was his toenails. I mean, getting descriptive.
I heard that they tried to dehumanize him because they have to make us killable. Once they make us killable, then they want people. It kind of helps people feel comfortable with killing him over again. So they talk about him as if he's some gorilla or some animal, something less than human, so that people won't feel the passion for him and his humanity. And so I'm glad that this jury saw through all of it. So to all of you all who were out there and believed that a 11-1 white to black jury could not come up with the just verdict, this is proof positive that when people are actually there to do their duties and they're committed to doing their duty, you do get some form of justice. Now, this verdict is definitely a form of justice that we all can appreciate, because it shows even in our worst moments, our system can work like it's supposed to. And that's what happened today. There was proof beyond reasonable doubt, because that's the standard. There's proof beyond reasonable doubt that those three gentlemen were responsible for Arbery's death. The jury found so, and they rendered a verdict that was consistent with that. And for that, I'm proud of the jury. I'm proud of the prosecution team. I'm glad that they had lawyers to actually show how our system works and how the adversarial system does have a way of getting down to the truth. And I'm happy today that justice was served on these three individuals.
We thank you for taking time out. We know you're in the middle of family. The same to you, Judge Lloyd. We know that you're in the middle of a dozen projects there in Detroit. First of all,
hey, can I say hello to Judge Lloyd?
Hi.
Hey, Judge Lloyd. Okay, thank you. That's all I wanted to do.
Go ahead, Donnie. What you gonna say?
We wish you nothing but love, Judge.
Oh, thank you. Well, I was watching this come on, and it came across my phone first, as an alert, and I said, "Whoa!" I agree with counsel. I mean, this is what juries are supposed to do, and you listen to what the law really is, as the judge said. And you have to discern to a degree when you are listening to evidence come in. Do you want to believe this evidence that is different from when he was first investigated, one of the defendants? Do you believe that to be? And if you choose not to believe it because it sounds like a lie, that's part of the evidence coming in. And so I was nervous at first because of the other verdict that came in for that teenage boy. And I said, I know state laws all have different nuances, etc. But that state has to go back and look and rewrite the law, because that is supposed to happen. You brought the danger in. You came in with an illegal weapon at the wrong age to even have a weapon, and you came into another state and it was ignored by the jury. You want to believe because he did a crying spell that, oh, wow, you killed two people and almost shot off the other man's arm. And then it became what is in the mind of the defendant. Did he really feel that he had to have self-defense? Then I heard these people in this trial all of a sudden assert the same type of thing, talking about he's going to get the gun. You're pointing this rifle at this boy. He's running. It's like chasing a doggone deer, okay, an animal. You're hunting him down. He's running away from the crime. And even though he's running away from you, you all are hunting him. You're hunting him. And I just wanted the jury to really listen and hear it, because they were hunting him like an animal. So to turn around and say at the last midnight hour that I was in fear for my life because he was going to get my weapon. He was, grabbing the weapon. You were pointing it at him, his body, and you have chased him down to this point. So when that jury came in, when I saw that flash across the screen, then you have faith that the jury is taking this seriously, because who would want their child hunted down like that? When people are building houses, and I remember when my sister was building hers, people would walk through the complex. They just want to see how houses are built. Sometimes it takes 40 years for cities to build, large areas, again. And so people were constantly just walking through, looking at the framework, looking to see, I saw it last week, because they live near it. And so they come in out of curiosity. They don't come in to steal necessarily. They're coming in to look. Why were white people allowed to have that privilege to do that? And not even a thought goes out that they might be trying to steal something. But then the young black guy goes in, and because he's come in a couple of times, if he runs that path all the time, it's normal. Oh, let's see what they did in here the last couple of times I've been in here. Let's see. Because it matters. I mean, the houses change every day. I watched my sister do it. And she went and she caught stuff. And she says, no. I have recess lights. What's that thing hanging down? And she made them change it. And then she came in another day. Why are you putting that on that? It's like a jacuzzi bathtub. It's a big old ugly looking box like that. She said she got out her books. I got out books. I'm helping her. And it's not. But the people across, they getting the house built too. They're walking through looking at Leona's house. And they said, Leona, they saw the drawing on the tub, and they said, Leona said, you can ignore that. The access panel now will be through the wall on the other side. And they said, not right in our face. That's ghetto. And the thing is that they said, then we're changing ours. But people walk through. He had the right to walk through. He didn't take anything. And they kept saying that he didn't take anything. Nothing was shown that he took anything. Nothing was shown that, and the jury, I agree with counsel. The jury looked at that and took it for what it really meant. And I was happy. I was happy. When they get it right, I was happy. So you see me bouncing here, right?
We've been joined by Willie Flowers. He's not only a servant son, he's also the president of the Maryland NAACP. Good afternoon, Willie. Are you as exhilarated as everyone else here?
Good afternoon. I'm happy that the verdict, but I certainly am happy that the activists who picked up on this early on kept it alive, because this could have been buried too. That has to be recognized. There was a lot of people doing work because I didn't even know about it, and because of social media, because of the NAACP was on the forefront in that community. They kept it alive because so many times these cases get lost, and I think that because of that activism, the film of the incident showed up. So all these pieces are what we have to continue to do. So I'm happy about it, but I'm exhausted. I mean, I was out here in my yard right now blowing leaves because I don't get to do that kind of stuff. And there are a lot of activists in that community down there and in Georgia who've been doing this stuff for years, and they won't be mentioned. But I'm excited about it. I'm happy about it. But we still the contempt of Black folks is still evident in this. Like, they could ride up on somebody and shoot them, and they thought they were going to get away with it. So we still got work to do. I'm happy about the verdict. I'm glad that it wasn't the same verdict as last week, or same result rather. But I'm very pleased that this happened, particularly for the family, because they need closure, and for that community down there, and so that Black people don't live in fear anymore. There's a long history of lynching Black folks and contempt for Black life in that state and in other places in the South, but
Maryland.
Yes. So I ain't letting I ain't giving nobody clearance. Like I said, I think it's overall contempt of Black folks. But this whole issue of bloody the Red Summer started in Georgia, in that area of Georgia. So that connection is just heartbreaking. But we have work to do. We have to empower our communities, empower our children, so that this type of nonsense stops.
And then, of course, Willie, you were born just next door in Alabama. Right. Jay Wyndal, I know your time is limited, but I wanted to get back to the defense. Not only did the defense allude to Ahmaud Arbery's toenail, his dead body, but they also asked preachers, Black preachers, no more Black preachers to come into the discussion. You want to touch that?
Well, I thought that was just an ignorant and disgraceful statement. It really cast aspersions on the practice of law and on us as defense attorneys. And quite frankly, I kind of think it was borderline unethical. He could be facing a bar complaint as a result of a statement such as that, because I think it's prejudicial to the administration of justice. And just, thank goodness the judge had the foresight and was more than reasonable in as much as he tried to ignore the argument. It got to a point where he couldn't anymore. He said, look, what you're saying is wrong, and you're doing it for some reason other than bringing it to the court's attention. You're doing it because there's a cause collateral to the courtroom that you're trying to espouse, and he just wasn't going for it. So he handled it as a judge is supposed to handle it. But I thought that was low. You know what I mean? Because I guess he felt better if white pastors had made their way into the courtroom. But whatever it was, race, even though race plays a big part, and nobody's going to tell you that race doesn't play a part in our judicial system. In fact, it's embedded in it. But when you can blatantly come out with it without any reticence or reluctance, then you are it's ungood.
Now, the judge also, Jay Wyndal, referred to what happened out there in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Did you want to touch Mr. Kyle at all?
What happened to Kyle out there in Kenosha? I felt as though that judge displayed bias throughout that entire trial, and I think that he was sort of steering or navigating the conclusion that resulted from the trial. And those are the types of judges who I often criticize because they stand in the way of a just and fair process. The way the court is supposed to work, I mean, we really do have one of the greatest systems in the world. However, it's those who are in charge of applying the system. Sometimes they get it wrong. And this judge was like exhibit A of what a biased judge looks like and what he can do to steer the results of a criminal trial.
Mm-hmm. Judge, what do you say? Are we more optimistic in the future of our criminal justice system, our court system?
Well, it gives you hope. Okay, you gotta take it one by one. It's just like counsel said. If you get a judge that clearly shows prejudicial, because the juries look at the judge all the time, whether testimony is being given or not, and they look for silent clues. What does this judge? If you sit up there, you frown up, you do this, you do that. They look for stuff like that, and you, as a judge that has sat there and had these jury trials, and I glance over at the jury and I see them staring at me because they just heard something that sounded ridiculous. Well, how did the judge take that? You know, when they came in there making those motions about the black pastors, I thought that was ridiculous. And the point is that, have you ever done that with the white pastors? Huh? No. So why did you do that? Because all of these pastors were bigger than life to you. All of them scared you. And are you now trying to set up a grounds for appeal? See, so that's what I looked at, you know, and I said, but to me, it was a very frivolous argument, but it's the fact that he did it every day. Every day he was filing this motion, because that's just a setup to try. If in fact we don't walk out of here, then let's see if we can get it wrong. See, so that kind of ticked me off, and I think the judge made a comment about something about Chinese food in the restaurant and lunchtime, and is it going to be slow, and all this is, and again they pointed that out in some of the articles I read, and they said this definitely shows bias. He's talking about the Asian folks now and the food, and we're going for lunch now in the Chinese restaurant. See, right away, you playing a race card on another race.
Well,
Willie
I know we want to celebrate the verdict, but I want to bring it back because I think we need to talk about this every day of the week. Is all of these judges, and I'm glad to meet Judge Leonia Lloyd. I don't know how you got if you were elected or appointed or whatever, but
slow down.
I was elected 4 times.
Congratulations. Well, let me finish what I'm saying.
Esteemed Judge Leonia Lloyd.
I got it. But here's the thing. She got elected. Detroit, like Oakland. It's a black thing. I'm a black man. What I'm saying is this. We got to get back to dissecting this whole thing. If we had people running in those elections, if we had people keeping those racist judges out of office, we wouldn't have to be talking about this. You can talk about an objective and fair trial, but if we don't do it, if we don't, we only get excited when we're in a crisis about doing anything. I am talking about getting elected right now because we need to talk about getting elected every day. Politics is a systematic way of determining who gets what, when, and how. It ain't gonna change.
But judges isn't a topic that's popular during elections.
It's
not popular until you sitting in front of one. And that's my point.
Right. And what Willie's bringing out an important point. Some states, everybody's appointed. Okay. And so the public doesn't say what they want. In Detroit, you got 2 ways to get on the bench. You either run against the incumbents because you think you're going to do a better job, or run for an empty seat, or you get appointed, but the public has a chance within that 2-year period when that next ballot goes out to, go ahead and certify that supposedly choice, from the select club of folks that got connections, or they can say no, because now you got some challenges coming in. What I was
sharing, Judge, is that we talk about the governor's race, we talk about the mayor's race, but we rarely, it's rare, even white people, at least openly, talk about the judges.
They need to.
It's really the lawyers. It's really lawyers like myself, although I do it, but lawyers like myself who don't inform the public. We need to be a voice for the public, especially when it comes to judges who we practice in front of. Now, I'm probably the only lawyer that I can think of myself, probably Warren Brown, who really get critical of judges when it's especially around election time. And I'll tell anybody if they ask me, or even if I'm speaking about politics, because the judges are very important, and I'll tell them who to vote for and who not to vote for. I'll tell them how I feel about them, and it's just me. But if you agree to certain things the same way that I do, you'll probably follow me. But the bottom line is, yeah, we need to do more in educating the public. And if we have bad experiences with the judges, we need to do more and sounding the alarm. Like you just heard in Baltimore County, Donnie, there was a judge just yesterday or the day before who sentenced this white guy charged with rape of 2 women to
Home detention.
Home detention, Judge Truther. And our experiences with Judge Truther have been less than admirable, to say the least. And I've seen behavior consistent with what he did for that guy in other instances that he's presided over, where there's that unspoken bias, but we know it when we see it. We know it when we witness it. We know it when the rulings come down that, there's a lot of discretion, but after you've been doing this for a while, you kind of know how things should fall, and then we see how things actually fall and for what reason.
I don't want to get in the weeds with it. Does this guy have to register as a sex offender?
He ought to have to register. Yeah, he was convicted, so he ought to have to register. But the bottom line is he should be in jail like everybody else. I had a guy charged with rape. We lost the case. He got 20 years. The judge just like 20, like it was lunchtime or something. You know what I mean? You get yours. You get out of here. You know what I mean?
Well,
so he had 2 women that accused him. So,
police officer, mind you.
Yeah.
He was an officer?
Yes.
Police.
You also got to look at the fact they made a point to say he's getting ready to retire. If you've got a judge who has been giving those kind of decisions in the past, and as they get closer to retirement, expect the ridiculous.
Yeah.
They're not going to punish for it. What are you going to do?
Nothing.
See, so you have to be careful who you put in there. That's why the election system in Detroit, you gotta campaign, and you gotta campaign on what you've been doing, not just what am I gonna do. What have you also been doing? If you sat there, let them make a decision. Just because you sat there for 6 years doesn't mean you go back. Unless you show us what you're doing, and you show us that you're the kind of judge who will be fair. If my child got in front of you, and that's what you want. You don't, I've had people call, and this lady said her husband was domestic violence, and I had put him on probation. I said, you're going to take training, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. At the end, the case can be dismissed against you. But if you contact this lady again, looking at the physical violence you've done, I said, I'm going to make sure you get back in front of me. I said, for the violation, and I'm going to give you the time you would have got. Now, you got a choice. The key to jail is in your hands. Okay, what did he do? Valentine's Day come up. All of a sudden, he sends her stuff and stuff. She's taking money from him and all this. Now, she had been sitting in that courtroom listening to me, right? And I don't have control over her. But if you sit there and take money from a man, $500 here, $500 there, and then he brings you flowers, you keep accepting that. Now Valentine's Day coming, you don't want him around because you got another man coming. And then he's hiding in the bushes, and he's getting upset because now he feels he's been duped. And so he confronts her, and he's getting angry. What does she do? I'm calling Judge Lloyd. He's here at my house. He ain't supposed to have no contact with me. And so I pulled them all in, and I said, I listened to what he said. I said, did you have contact with her? And he said, I'm going to be honest with you. I had every kind of contact you could have. And I knew what that meant. And he said, and he explained why he got upset and et cetera. And he did not deny that he was over there and he was angry with her. And then I asked her, did you take the money? did you take all those gifts that man gave you? I said, then you are telling him in so many words,
It's okay.
I want this order changed from no contact to no assault, but you don't go through the changes, but you take the money. Now all of a sudden it's inconvenient. I said, and you want me to lock him up for 90 days because he violated my order, but he did it with your help. I said, you getting 30 because you didn't do what I told you to do, but you would have had 90. Because of her and what she did, you're getting 30. And so his mother called.
Wow.
His mother called. She was in a play that I produced. Okay, raising money for kids, babies with AIDS. Okay, I had done this years ago. I didn't know that was his mother. And she called and she said, I can't believe Judge Lloyd put my son in jail. And so when she called me, I took the call and I told her what he did. She said, wait a minute. Was he seeing that woman again? I said, oh, yes, every kind of way. She said, throw him under the jail, Judge Lloyd. I knew you were right. I said, I know that lady. I worked on her play. And she said, I knew it had to be some reason. She said, I am so sorry. I had no problem answering to the public for anything that I had done. Okay. But the bottom line is, I said, you will learn one way or the other. I want you to learn outside of jail. But if you decide to put matters in your own hands, you don't understand. You get a control back to the victim. The victim can put you back in jail.
You should be on the Supreme Court, Judge Lloyd.
No, Judge Lloyd. Judge Lloyd, you need to go into the blues singing business because you singing blues songs. I hear Delise LaSalle. I hear what's her name? Betty White. I hear all them. This is a straight up blues song.
Well, Willie, just to give you some background, she represented a number of celebrity artists.
Right, that's true.
Well, you understand. I think you can make a whole album on these stories you got. I don't want to be in court with you.
Well, she does have a book out.
Just don't violate her probation. That's what you want.
I don't want to be in there in the first place.
What's the book, Judge Lloyd?
Oh, the book it's called Your Honor, Your Honor. I'm going to show you the cover. Donnie, I just got my 3rd award on the book, too.
Outstanding. Hey, Willie, don't you be messing with Judge Lloyd. I'll come get you, boy.
I ain't messing. I
got a New York award.
Okay.
And I got one in London and I got one in Ontario.
Wow. Okay.
Whoa, let's see. Okay, there it is.
I see you.
I'm up for the Black Authors Rock Award too in December. I'm up for that. But because of my immune system, my doctors don't want me getting on the plane flying. So I'll do it virtual. I'll go virtual.
Okay.
But I got a lot of songs in me, Willie. I do. Yeah, I do. You have no idea.
Well, you're in Detroit, so I know somebody from Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas. One of them. Where your people from?
Oh, North Carolina.
Okay.
And my father's from Tennessee, Memphis, Tennessee.
Right. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Let's go around the horn. Any final thoughts? Thank you both. Thank you all for taking time out of your days. Jay Wyndal, let's start with you. I know you were first in.
Well, I do have to go, so I just want to say, all of us under the sound of my voice, when you get that envelope to serve on jury duty, please serve. Please make yourself available to serve. It's no lame excuses. It's your civic duty. It's very important. This judicial system that we have is not a spectator sport. You have to participate to make it work like it's supposed to. And that's what I'm going to say. And respectfully, I'm going to leave everybody because I do have some things that have to
Thank you, Jay Wyndal.
Thank you.
Jay Wyndal, I agree with him because people don't like doing jury duty, right? When they come into your courtroom and you got a whole bunch of them, and so you got to narrow it down, and everybody comes in with a face. And I used to make a game of it because I said, all of you are so lucky. It's almost like you won the lotto. And they looked at me like, are you a crazy woman? I said, don't you feel lucky? Right. They looked at me. I said, now, when you hear your name, you're going to take a slot and sit up there. I said, in the chosen seats. And they looked at me. I said, because you're special. And so then they they would go up there and sit. But as time went on, as I was helping, with the jury thing and selection and stuff, and as it was going on, they were watching me. Now, the people that were left over, I said, well, we got our jury. My juries would be picked real fast. Nobody wanted to say they wanted to go. Nobody wanted. They were kind of entertained by me, right? So I said, look, when you come in, come at 10. I got cases, I said earlier than that, to 10. And from 10 on, it's your time for your jury trial. So I said, but I will have some pastries and things like that and coffee for you all. I said, in the jury room. I said, so if they didn't come at 10, they came at 8. And I said, they're here. I said, my secretary went, took the tray in. I got beautiful letters from the jury. I used to have them stand up and shake and do all kinds of stuff. They're listening to all this boring testimony. And I said, I don't want nobody falling asleep. Nobody falling asleep. Nobody missed. Nobody, coming in so late that we all got to wait. No. And when they leave every day, they said, bye, Judge. I said, bye. I wanted the experience to be good. And he's right. If you get the envelope, please fill it out. Please. I sat on a jury. I just graduated law school. I said, they're never going to pick me. They know that they'll look to me to be the lead person on the jury. And they said, I think we have our jury. I said, I can't believe it. I'm picked. This will probably be the last time in life. And I served on the jury. And they said, oh, well, we're going to make you head of the jury. I said, that's what they expect. That's why I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let everybody give their opinions first. I will be the last one. I wanted to watch how a jury picked people. I wanted to see what was important. I didn't care about the lawyer's shoes that squeaked. That didn't make him honest to me, but it did to them. Okay. And I heard stuff that I was like, interesting. I'm never going to get this chance again. So, but it was important. We came up to the same result for different reasons. Mine, I looked at the evidence. They looked at evidence and other stuff. So yes, it is important. Don't ignore it. What if it were your child on trial? You'd want people to step up and do their civic duty. So I agree.
Good deal. Willie, any final thoughts?
No, you set this up about the verdict. I'm pleased with that, but we still have to get in the grassroots and win elections, and do it talk about it as much as we can, so it can become, I guess we can become socialized to that expectation again, because we lost, and we lose every time we don't. Any little thing that people want to say that the preachers don't do this, this institution doesn't do this, Donnie don't do this. Every excuse we have, the politicians don't do this. It's an effort to keep people from voting, and I think we should spend more time registering people and explaining these details and the effect of not voting, but also the beauty of having the right people in office. The judge just gave an exciting example of the type of people that can be put into office, and we need to focus on that too. I want to say this, that in Howard County, I don't know if you heard about this, but in the last election cycle, because Judge, we appoint here for circuit court, district court, and of course the state court of appeals, and then they're on the ballot in the next election. Like, guys, sounds like the same process. So in the county I live in, we had never had a African American to run without being appointed. And the one other time in history, we had an African American sister who was appointed. And the tradition is that nobody runs against the judge out of respect,
Right.
But on this particular occasion, she was appointed by a Democratic governor, and she was opposed by they put a white female against her. I guess I don't know if she was a Republican or not, but she was knocked off. And that was, I guess, 15 or 20 years ago. In the last election, our governor appointed a Republican assistant attorney general. His name was Cucino. I just remember his last name. He was in office for 2 years. Not only did a 3 Democrats run against him for the seat in the Democratic primary, and they have some crazy system of how they elect people by percentages. But a black man ran against 2 white guys in the Democratic primary. His name is Quincy Coleman from Edmondson Village. And he was able to sneak past those 2 white Democrats to be on the ballot. And he faced the Republican in the general election. The short story is that he won. The long story was that the Democratic Party did not support him. But he called people like me, and all he had to tell me was that. And I came out of retirement. I came out of retirement because of what he told me. And what he told me was this. Like any Democrat, he went to the Democratic Party to talk about how they could help him. Not only did they tell him they wouldn't help him, but they told him to stop saying that he was in the Democratic Party. Now, he was an attorney, so he was smart enough not to identify himself as a Democrat in his campaign material. What he said was winner of the Democratic nomination.
Okay.
So you accomplish what you need, but he's telling the truth, right? And all that said, they didn't send. I should add this too. They didn't send him the letter until after Kamala Harris was picked as Biden's running mate.
This is there in Howard County?
This is in Howard County.
Oh my God.
In 2020. And but on the election day, he won the election hands down. He's a judge now, and he's one of the better judges they are. But because of that, it gives us an opportunity to focus on judges as important as well. And not only that, but recruitment of interested attorneys who can run for the office, because that's very important as well. Like, I mean, it would be great to have people like Jay Wyndal running for judge, but you know, he does a good job of defending people as well. So we have to, you know, be diverse and connected to people who may or may not be interested, because everybody's not supposed to be a judge, as I'm sure the judge knows that everybody ain't supposed to be on the bench, and we don't want everybody on the bench. But
No.
you know, it's a personality thing, because you have to give up stuff once you become a judge. And so if a person has that personality, then we should be, before, you know, when we talk about the appointment process, we should be talking about it. But when we're talking about the fact that we're not satisfied, particularly with supporting and appointing conservative judges, we can mount up what we can do and take them out. And and in this case with Judge Quincy Coleman, he's a judge now. In his case, he was not someone who was well known in the community. But like I said, when he called and told me that nonsense, I came out of retirement for him. I didn't know him before the primary, but we're good friends now. We're family, all that. And then he told me he was from Edmondson Village, so you know I had to do something.
That's West Baltimore, Judge. West Baltimore proper.
He's from the village.
EA.
And, yeah.
Well, I think that's good, because what people don't understand, and it's like what you all were saying, the judicial races, because of appointments mainly, it's kind of quiet. A lot of people don't even know who the judges are. Even when you get ready to re-elect in a state like mine, where people are elected, they're like, okay, I know the city council person and I know this person, but I don't know judges. Well, I came out, billboards, the whole hit, and they looked and said, she's going up against 10 incumbents, okay, and 3 other challengers. But when I came out, it was like, I came out, but I'm going to get the will of the people, only because they knew me and my sister from being in private practice. And because we were so visible to the public, who we were and what we stood for, I went up against them. And most of the time, people go up against them. You may blow 40 grand and you ain't winning nothing. At that time, 40, now it's more than that. But you won't win. And I won on a shoestring budget. But I had people. I had a lot of people come. You have to know who is that person in that black robe, because they are the sum total of their experiences. And if their experiences make them crazy, make them prejudiced, make them, a whole lot of things, that ain't who you want up there. But when you got to get elected and then you got to get reelected, one of the things I always said, if I ever lock a person up, they had the key in the hand. I give you the key. Now you do X, Y, and Z and prepare to go to the hotel. That's it. Go to the hotel. And so I remember I ran for one of my reelections, and my cousin was putting up my signs in stores and stuff. And so this one dry cleaner guy said, "Oh no, she locked me up." And she said, "If she locked you up,
You
did she
deserved it.
tell you that you got the key? You did something, didn't you?" She said, "Because she gives people chances." He said, "You know what? You're right." He said, "She did. She gave me a couple of chances. I messed it up." He said, "Put her sign up there. She's fair."
Yeah. Own up.
Put
We
her
all
sign
got to own up.
Right. And I had no problem with that. I had no problem going to church. I had no problem going wherever. I'm out there. I was out there at the fairgrounds. I'm out there in the line dancing with the folks. I had no problem because I knew who I was. I knew what fairness was. When I first got on the bench, one black attorney who's well known in the black organizations that he led, and he came up to me and he said, "Sister, I'm glad that you're on the bench." And I just looked at him, smiled, and he said, "It's not just because you're black, but because I know as a black woman, you are going to be fair. I just want fair. I didn't say I want to always win. I want fair." And I thought about that. I sat on that bench for 24 years. I thought about that. Fair is why I ran, because I was in front of judges who were not fair. You treated me one way. This other white lawyer, you treated another way. We're both asking for the same thing for our clients. You put me through the ringer. I'm ready. I got my boxing gloves on. Let's go. But him, everything he asked for was his client, who was a black woman, walked up to me. I got the papers. I had ready ahead of time because I'm going to win this, right? And so she said, "Excuse me, ma'am." She said, "I watched you." And she said, "Everything you asked for your client is the same thing my lawyer asked for. But I saw the judge gave you such a hard time." She said, "I mean, he really was fighting you." I said, "I know it. I had my boxing gloves on too." And she said, "But my lawyer got up there, asked for it, and it was like bip, bop, boom. We were finished in 5 minutes." I said, "But the point is, I had to get what was right for my client. And if that means I had to fight, doesn't mean it's right, because he treated me differently than he treated him."
Well, we're
And
glad
we asked for the same thing.
we're glad that both of you joined us, and we're glad that we've reached some level of justice for Ahmaud Arbery. It doesn't bring his life back,
Right.
but in lieu of the Kyle Rittenhouse, whatever you want to call it, we'll take this.
He will take it and go on to fight another day, like Willie's talking about. We can't close our eyes.
Keep the war paint on. Keep the gunpowder next to the bed. All that, huh?
Well, we used to say, we said to Willie in law school, you can't go to sleep when there's a war going on.
That's right.
You can't. And we felt like we were in war. We were in law school. So, you can't go to sleep because you just want it to be more, all the decisions coming out, because what has happened 4 years prior to our new president coming in, a lot of that culture is coming out now. Okay. And you're beginning to see, well, how are we going to interpret this law? Well, I know he did wrong and, he shouldn't really have been there, but I think it's the right decision to let him go. How could this woman say that? Mm-hmm. What if it were your son shot down in the streets by that same man? Would you feel that way?
Two of them.
Mm-hmm. Two of them. And one was arm almost shot off. So, it matters who you put on that bench. It matters if you got laws only of appointment. You might start looking at changing that. Okay. Mm-hmm. Because, you always have, the public has a chance to reelect a person if they want them, and not reelect them if they don't. They have a voice. But I saw when our bench turned almost all black, all of a sudden there was a quiet movement to try to change it to an appointment system.
Right. That's what's happening here in Maryland right now. They're trying to shift the power to the Senate for approval, because
I mean,
what's happened.
Right. Different things happen. Like we had every 2 years, we would have to do this big study that we carried around for 2 months. And we had to check off every little thing that we did. How many minutes did you talk to this lawyer on this case? How many minutes for this whole case? Did it come back again? I mean, you had to take meticulous records. All these records were sent, went through a computer, and it was to determine, does your court, based on the number of cases, based on the number of minutes the judges spend on these things, do you need more judges? And it always said we needed 2.5, 3.5 more judges. Did they give them to us? No. Why do you have me doing this? This is time consuming. They said, well, let your staff. My staff can't do it. We at that time, we had almost 500,000 defendants coming down there. Okay. And that's like an airport. Okay. So we could not. They're busy doing their work and with the computers and everything else. And when they heard that they would have to just about micromanage everything for 2 months for figures to go in, they said, Judge, I can't. I said, I'll do my own. Don't worry about it. Every judge ended up doing that. And then they said, how can this court, remember now, we are black, almost a black court at the beginning of the stages with me, need this. They must be padding their things. They changed our computers. So the computers then registered how many cases each judge was getting and how many minutes they didn't trust us anymore. You know what? It still came out the same way. And so instead of giving us more judges, they didn't. They said, we're going to take one away. No, it's two away. That meant that the judges that were there are going to have more cases piled on top of them. And so I said, this is not fair. What did they base this on? If you're not going to look at these figures, then stop giving this to us to do. And when we went for a state meeting, and I was sitting up there with an attitude, and they said, Judge Lloyd, I said, what? The lady who's over my division, I said, in the state, she's not here. And the reason she's not here is because she made the recommendation. They just said, we need 1 or 2 judges gone out of the judicial system. You all tell us which judges are hardly doing anything. And then we're getting ready to take their seat. And they picked one in a white area. Then all of a sudden, the powers that be get together, the political, allies, and they say, well, we'll leave him there. Let's just pick one from the black court. They have the most district judges than anybody in Michigan. We had 31. Everybody else got 5, 4, 3, something like that. We had 31. But we had the most cases. And any judge visiting us, they call them visiting judges. They just want to go see how it is in Detroit. One man told me, he said, I don't know how y'all do it. He said, I went into the reigning courtroom. You all had over 100 to 150 people waiting to be arraigned. You know how many we have in our court? He said, possibly a high number of 10. He said, I go play golf in the afternoon. He said, you all have them coming out of the woodwork. Sometimes they're sitting outside. There's no seats in the courtroom. I said, that's every day. He said, I won't come anymore.
Judge, we want to thank you for joining us, Willie. We're going to get out of here. I want you to have a pleasant holiday. Enjoy your family, and to God be the glory.
Okay.
Take care. Thanks a lot.
Have a happy holiday.
Thank you.
Ma'am.
Okay.